I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone. So while I'm out here, I'll give you a brief little run through of the bikes I've had in the last 2 years, the 6 bikes. Now, bear in mind, they're not all off-road bikes. Some of them are dream bikes that I always dreamed of owning, and just bikes I wanted to ride and jumped into before I actually did research. So we'll start the first bike. It was a Ducati Diavo. I wanted a Ducati, like, you know, when people think of awesome bikes, well, me anyway, I think of Ducatis, like they're top of the range, expensive, nice Italian bikes. So I wanted the Diavo because it's kind of cruiser slash fast bike. Like, it's super fast, but it's also super comfortable. It's not sports bike seating position, so it ticked the boxes for me. Now mine had 1800 Ks on it. It was 2014 model. I owned that for 6 months, and then I didn't ride it much because I bought another bike, so I moved that one on. But while I had that bike, the next bike I bought after that was a Ducati V4S. Now that thing was my dream bike. I always wanted a super bike. I've just gotten into the MotoGP. Ducati's my favorite. That was the bike for me. So I bought that, 1100 kilometers, ended up selling it for 1700 kilometers after six or 8 months. So once again, it was a shelf bike and I never rode it. So that was gone. So before I sold the red V4S, I actually bought a KTM 500. I always seem to have 2 bikes at once, except for now. So I had the KTM 500. I had just done a job for a client. We become good friends, and he was into off-road motorbiking, trail riding, single tracks, all that sort of stuff. And I'd never done much, so I thought, you know what, let's give it a go. And I enjoyed it, but I just kept crashing, kept hurting myself, and thought it's only a matter of time before the inevitable happens. So that ended pretty quickly. I had no bike for a little bit. Next thing I got was a Triumph Rocket. I thought, I'm not gay enough to own a Harley. I do like a cruiser. I want something fast, but that cruiser comfort. So I did a little bit of research. I found the fastest production, well, the most torque, I guess, production bike, and it was a Triumph Rocket 333R. This thing was just insane. It pulled me in ways I've never been pulled before. It was an experience, and such a beautiful bike. I did some bigger trips on it. Well, not bigger, but like 200K, 300K trips. And it was comfortable. It would have been nicer with a screen, but the bike was great. After owning it for so long, it became a shelf bike again. I just buy bikes, get over riding them, and then I move on to new things. So that ended that. But before that ended, I also hit my 50-year-old, I think it's time to start adventure riding phase. So then I started thinking, I want something with super horsepower, capabilities off-road, and comfortable. And I ended up at the KTM 1290R. I did some research and found out that they changed the models in 22 or 23. So I got that model, the new updated model, had the rally mode, cruise control. It had an aftermarket Aquapovich exhaust. It was unreal. I fanged around on that for a bit, and then I came up with the idea of crossing the Simpson Desert. And I wanted to do it on that, so I practiced out in the bush, and after dropping it a few times, I realized this thing is just a fat pig, and it's so heavy to pick up. Like, picking it up off a flat road like this is probably not that bad, but picking it up in the sand or when you're on a slope or on a hill, it's just horrible. And just trying to turn it around and getting off and reversing it, it was no good. So that ended. And for a while there, I was bikeless, gay. And then the itch began to itch again. And the itch never really left, I just wasn't scratching it. But then I started scratching it, and I come up with the 690 Enduro R, bit of a unicorn, some people say. It's good on-road, good off-road. And I went and looked at a few, but none of them really did much for me. And then I got my push bike serviced, and the service guy said he had a dr650, and I said, what's that? And he said, oh, it's just old school, it's never been changed in 20 years, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, sounds a bit gay, but I'll have a look. So I looked into it, and I fell in love instantly. These bikes are just cool. Like, it's hard to explain unless you ride one. They're just like a tractor. They just chug, 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 and they don't stop. They're carby, they're air-cooled, no radiator, no electronics. It's got an analog speedo dial on it. It doesn't have a rev meter, doesn't have cruise control. It's got heated grips, which is a blessing. but it's just so basic, and I love it. It's the cheapest and most basic bike that I've had, and it's probably one of the most fun. I would have to say my favorite bike was the Ducati V4S, the red one, because it was insane. It went from 0 to 160 in first gear, and it just sounded so good. And I never realized how good it sounded until I sold it, and the guy rode off from my house, and I videoed him and heard it in the playback. And it was just, yeah, it's phenomenal. It was louder than Harley's, but a much nicer note. Anyway, this is the noble steed now. Later down the life, I will get another V4S, but at the moment I want to do some remote touring. I want to get out there and just enjoy myself. I don't want to be riding around on a $50,000 superbike worried that I'm going to drop it or scratch it. I got this bush pig. I drop it, I don't care. You know, I do a trip around Australia, I come back and I'm over it and I sell it and move on to something else. It's that cheap that money's not a problem. It's super reliable, parts everywhere, like I've said. So they're the 6 bikes I've had, and this by far is probably the most fun, just because of the off-road aspect. It's not quite as good as the 500 off-road, not even close to be honest, but it's good enough, especially for my capabilities. I'm not the greatest rider, so it's perfect for me. Anyways guys, thanks for tuning in once again. Those are the 6 bikes I've had. If you wanted me to go into detail about any of the bikes or my experiences with any of them, just let me know, drop a comment below. I'm going to be heading out on the tracks again next weekend. I'll probably go to the local Wadigan State Forest or Mount Sugarloaf. I went out Mount Sugarloaf the other week and just found some nice trails. There's trails everywhere. You just wake up, check the weather, put your helmet on and go. This thing just goes anywhere. It's unreal. I don't have to tow it behind a car. I don't have to worry about putting Ks on it. You just use it and enjoy it. Thanks guys. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your day. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.